What's up, everybody, and welcome. It is now March, and the new year is in full swing. As many of you can tell, I'm trying out a new look, and we'll see if it sticks. In the spirit of trying new things, this is going to be the first video in a new series that I am releasing, where I'm going to share with you guys a bunch of cool DIY projects. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so today we are going to build a pair of Cappy VP312 500 series microphone preamps. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time and unfortunately never got around to it. I had originally built these last year, but due to a series of unfortunate events, I'm just now getting around to releasing it. Here we are, and without further ado, let's unbox the components. For voiceover purposes, I've already gone ahead and switched over to my SM7B, which is being run through a completed VP312. You can also see that I've gone ahead and unboxed all of the components required to complete 2 full VP312 units. I personally like to do these 2 at a time, but if you're only doing one, this is what all of the components laid out would look like to complete 1 full unit. Before we proceed any farther with this video, I have to state that there is a lot of prep work that goes into this before you can even begin to assemble and build the units. Now, there are 2 schools of thought with how to proceed. You can either trust that your supplier has sent you tested components that are guaranteed to work, or you can do what I do and test each component individually before you proceed. Now, if you already know your resistor color codes and things of that nature, then go ahead and proceed to lay things out once you've tested them. If you don't, there are charts and apps that you can get to help you along the way. I also feel that it is important to state that if you have very minimal skills in soldering and assembly, do not even attempt this project on your own. I like to lay everything out on a sheet of notebook paper and then label each component's value and its position, and if there are multiples, I like to group them together and then use a piece of masking tape to fix them to the paper. I like to prep my workspace before I begin. This way I've got everything that I need at my fingertips. This allows me to quickly and efficiently move from one thing to the next. I also like to grab myself something to drink and settle in for the long haul, as this can be a multi-hour process and even up to a full day depending on your skill level. And here we have a clean and prepped PCB ready to go. I like to bend all of my resistors like this, and I prefer to use a jeweler's screwdriver, but whatever tool you choose, make sure that it is no bigger than 1/8 of an inch. I personally prefer to feed them through the front of the PCB in order, and then use a little bit of masking tape to hold them in place. This allows me to flip the entire PCB and then solder the whole section in one go. I like to work with one component at a time as it makes the whole process much smoother. For example, these are all of the resistors soldered into their proper locations. I'm going to be continuing this exact process throughout the remainder of this video. Here we can see all of the capacitors and all of the resistors soldered onto the PCB. Now we get the transformers ready to go, and here we have the 6 socket pins for the op amp. Much like the resistors, I like to take a bit of masking tape and fix all of the socket pins to the PCB. This way I can solder everything in one go. I've found that soldering each of the socket pins to the PCB first before I solder in each one of the transformers makes assembly in this section much smoother and easier. And here we have the 2622 installed, and here we have the 3 front panel switches. I like to put these in before I do the 2503 transformer. Now I'm going to go ahead and bolt the Litzwire 2503 directly to the PCB and install the stepped gain pod. Installation of the output pod is a little tricky. You have to do a test assembly first in order to get the height right. If you don't, you're gonna have a bad time. Then you can do a little nip and tuck on the 2503, disassemble, and final solder everything. While you're at it, you'll also want to take the time to install the phantom power switch and its LED. I've chosen to go with a 1731 op amp in this particular unit. The reason being is that it will be primarily used for bass and 7-string guitars. Slot the op amp into the socket and you're ready to rip. Now that the unit is complete, you can either slot it into a testing jig or your 500 series rack if you're feeling confident. If you're new to this, I highly recommend having a dedicated testing setup before you go throwing this into your production rig. If y'all want to see more videos like this, please reach out to me either here on YouTube or via social media. If there's anything specific y'all want to see me build, send me the information and we'll see about making it a reality. If you've enjoyed this video or you found it helpful in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and help support the channel. Also, be on the lookout for part 2 where I'm gonna go ahead and test these out and throw up some audio clips for you guys to hear. Until next time, keep rocking.